Hello my friends, Bungie has released another video for Marathon. This game went pretty darn dark for the longest time, especially after all of its controversies and things that have happened with stealing art assets and the entire community basically calling it art raiders. And as funny as that is, it also was a testament to what this game has in terms of hurdles it needs to jump over in order to be any kind of success in the eyes of its players. And those players hopefully will show up to give it a chance, which I always am willing to give a game a chance. I even gave Black Ops 7 a chance when I had zero hope for that, and while that was a complete disaster, I still am happy I at least gave it a chance. And I still do plan on giving Marathon a chance, but as someone who has played Destiny for thousands of hours between 1 and 2, I also still feel a little bit abandoned by Bungie with, a lot of the gameplay changes and things that they've decided to do and the direction they have decided to go. I am curious, though, to see how this whole thing turns out. So, what did Marathon do differently this time? Was this reveal worth anything? Was it better? Was it worse? After watching this trailer, or this ViDoc from them, there's been a lot of changes to Marathon, and that goes without saying with everything that's happened, but the biggest changes I can see, it just feels less corporate, less, sterilized in a way. It almost reminds me of when Killing Floor 3 was first announced, and then everyone said, no, we hate this, we hate the look of this, we hate everything about it. And they took it back to the drawing board, released the same kind of levels again, but this time with a new art style to it that was much more gritty. They bloodied up the place and made it seem a lot more like Killing Floor. That almost seems about the same here, where the original reveal of Marathon and the gameplay felt very sterile and very basic. This time they've come back and introduced a lot of different mechanics. One of these being just weather systems that change the look of the areas so it doesn't just feel like a static, mess of blah. I don't know how else to really put that. They've also added new mechanics that I actually really like the idea of, and that being having the dead bodies of your opponents be on the ground and that they disintegrate and decay over time. So you can actually tell if someone has been killed recently or if they've been sitting there a little while. I think that's really cool. They've taken extra effort to kind of make this seem more menacing than it did before, giving it a lot more air of mystery, so you actually have a care in the world or actually wonder what's going on in this world in the first place. I will say there's not a lot done in terms of character designs, and for me personally, I'm still not super behind the character designs in this. I think they just don't jump out to me as something that's visually attractive in any way. Even if a character isn't even attractive in a video game, you can still have an attractive model that is nice to look at. And I don't feel that way about any of these characters. I think they still look very messy and just not great to, look at. They definitely seem unique, sure, but I don't think that uniqueness is necessarily translating to something that people will find cool in a way that you'll see cosplayers and stuff of these. I really don't see that with these characters. However, the gameplay itself does seem to have evolved somewhat also. There has been a lot more expression in the weapons, I feel like, and in terms of abilities that they showed off. They aren't anything new, but they do seem to be trying to mix up the gameplay in this quite a bit with, grapple hooks and shields and customization to those. And even going so far as to say there are 400 or so mods in this game to augment your play. That's pretty cool. I do like that, but I do hope that they actually matter and aren't just fluff, because that also means that you have a very low chance of getting something that you might actually want or need for whatever build that you're trying to go for. So that is a small worry of mine. And there are two other things that I find really interesting. One is kind of interwoven with some other things, and that's the environment itself. Before, this was a straight up PvP extraction. Now we have a lot more AI enemies. There's, yeah, PvE events happening. There's a lot more things going on with the environments themselves, and even different maps that all have different effects and different difficulty tiers from what they're talking about that have their own thing going on. There's like this start where it's a little more friendly to newer players, and then as you go up, you get levels with more drones, more PvE enemies, traps, and things like that. And I do think they have gone a little bit longer and farther into trying to bring a little more PvE flair into this to capture the attention of the people who do play a lot of Destiny and don't necessarily play a lot of PvP. And on that note of PvP, I do notice a very key thing that is here that wasn't before, and that is proximity chat. And that in itself really kind of cracks me up because as much as everyone was saying Arc Raiders is basically going to clean their clock and take all of their shine and attention, which I do kind of still feel that way, I do see that they've learned from Arc Raiders' success. Proximity chat in Arc Raiders has gone over in a fantastic way and has brought the community together more than a lot of people expected, I think. Before, if you had asked Bungie, like people did, they said that they were going to avoid proximity chat in order to minimize toxicity. And while there is a part of me that kind of understands that, I think the benefits to having proximity chat in a game like this far, far outweigh the negatives like toxicity. So I am super glad that they have turned tail on that specific thing. And I think that's going to benefit this game in a huge, huge way. So overall, I do think that this reveal, after Marathon going dark for so long, did go over pretty well. I think that people are a little more positive on it. I see a lot more positivity in the comments for sure, but it does remain to be seen if it's enough. Is it enough for you to actually care about this game? Or do they still have one hell of a hill to climb up to even get this to a place where people care at all? Let me know down in the comments what you think, because I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of mixed opinions on this reveal. Anyway, if you would like to hear more from me, like the video and subscribe to see anything that I have going on in the future. I will hopefully talk to y'all in the future. Peace.